So there are reports that the drone that was fired at the Chem Pluto tanker, that was of Iranian origin, and given the distances involved and the particular drone in question, that's the Shahed 136, it has a range of over 2,000 kilometers. It could well be that it's either Iran or it's Pakistan that's done it. Why would Iran, attack a tanker that they very clearly knows headed towards India, which has kind of stayed away from this conflict?
I would only be hazarding a guess. My guess, gut feeling is that probably it's a mistake. I don't think Iran would deliberately target, and it's not that easy to identify a ship, its nationality, etc. While there is automatic identification systems available on ships which can be monitored, but they have a limited range. So you need sophisticated maritime domain awareness tools to determine the nationality, the cargo, the crew of ships that are so far away, because the AIS system has a range of at the most about 20 nautical miles. Right. There are long-range satellite systems which can go up to 1,000 odd nautical miles, but they are only available to a country for ships of its own flag. There are other systems, open domain systems, which of course are available today, on which you can track all merchant ships. But again, to track them and hit them with that accuracy is not that simple. It requires a great deal of sophistication. So to my mind, it's just a random attack to send a message overall to the global community that something needs to be done in the Israel-Hamas conflict. That's my gut feeling.
Right. And so yesterday the Navy chief mentioned that the Indian Navy was going to board and search all suspicious vessels in the vicinity of the Arabian Sea, and particularly where this attack took place. Is there reason to believe that this drone actually was fired from another merchant ship or another marine platform?
Sandeep, it can be fired, but then it has to be outfitted for it.
Right.
Because if you see a drone, a long-range drone normally would be launched from a runway.
Yeah.
If it has to be launched from a ship, then it has to be catapult launched.
Right.
That is not easy to design. So a long-range drone cannot really be launched, or if it's a rotary-wing drone, then it has a limited range. So a long-range drone has to be perforce launched from a runway, and therefore a long-range drone would not have been launched from a ship firstly. However, there could be ships. There are some reports in the open media. The Wall Street Journal has an article to say that there are Iranian spy ships that are directing this operation, which are under a false flag, or they are posing as merchant ships, etc. So it could be possible that there are certain ships that are doing this job for them, but a long-range drone or even a anti-ship ballistic missile has to be fired from a launcher that is based ashore.
Right.
So I'm sure what the Navy chief meant when he said he's going to search is mainly for the triggers that relate to the assistance being provided by these firing platforms from ashore for their targeting purposes.
For their targeting, that and so as FOC-in-C, you've been in the thick of force planning for the Indian Navy, and a lot of the warships that we have today was back in the day when you planned all these force structures. What is the kind of force planning that the Navy you think would do now, in the light of this new threat from shore-based anti-ship missiles, drones, and spy ships directing these kind of things? You think there's a requirement for a new kind of platform, or will the existing ones suffice?
In fact, interestingly, the Imphal was commissioned. I was the person who signed the contract way back in 2013.
Right.
So it's a very gratifying feeling to see it finally in commission. But the future, when we did the force planning, you do require follow-on series of destroyers with anti-ballistic missile capabilities.
Right.
So essentially, what it means is that you need to now, beef up the surveillance and firing systems on board ships, which can take on ballistic missiles and detect them at much longer ranges, and then shoot them also down at much longer ranges.
Right.
So this is a kind of capability that has already been planned. Right. I don't know whether the contracts have been signed or it's in the in the stages of finalization right now. But essentially, you will need firstly a larger number of ships for this operation. And even a larger number is not enough. You will need a coalition. Whether you like it or not, this requires a coalition, because no single country, not even the United States, will be able to meet the requirements, and has not been able to meet the requirements historically also of such indiscriminate actions, where there is not a focused battle space, it is widespread across the oceans.
Right.
So we definitely, as far as the Indian Navy is concerned, we need more destroyers with
Right.
better anti-ballistic missile capabilities, which means both the detection system and the surface to air missile systems on board a ship to bring these missiles down. But I would once again focus on intelligence and satellite monitoring. I think this is the key to any battle space today. We need to have much greater capability to monitor the areas around us at the click of a button. That means we should have those spare capabilities, because finally, instead of searching for a needle in the haystack, you have to get the needle before it is put into the haystack.
Right.
So that is the important part of it. So I think intelligence gathering, intelligence sharing with like-minded nations is the first step to fighting a battle intelligently, rather than just going out and searching ships, which is of course now required. And I'm sure there would be a plan to do that, to find the triggers or the support mechanisms for these firings. But as I mentioned earlier, I'm convinced that these missiles and drones are launched from a shore. They cannot really be launched from a ship if it is a long distance one.
Right. That's a good analogy actually. Target the needle before it's actually put into the haystack. I'll remember that one. And lastly, Admiral Chawla, I was reading your edit page article where you said that the share of Indian ships in the carriage of exempt trade has declined from 40% to just 7% in 2018 or 19 over a period of 4 decades. I mean, that's very alarming, for a country that's going to be the third largest economy by the end of the decade. How do you explain this literal collapse in Indian bottoms, as they call it?
Yeah, these figures are taken from the Government of India website of the Department of Shipping. So these have been put out by the Department of Shipping itself. And the department itself makes the argument to say that, the Indian shipping fleet has declined over the years. The reasons are many. But principally, if I can say, it is essentially a case of higher taxation. Ship charterers look for cheaper rates. So when they find cheaper rates, they will find it in countries where the tax rates are lower, where it is cheaper to transport the cargo, and therefore that has been one of the major reasons for the decline of Indian merchant shipping, Indian flag merchant shipping. And as the Indian EXIM trade has grown, we really have not kept pace in terms of buying and building ships, because it is a public sector undertaking. The private ship owners are few and far between. There are a few private shipping companies in India, but the public sector undertakings are historically not been profitable. And therefore, essentially, the reason for decline is the cost. I mean, it is much more profitable for people to carry it in certain foreign ships, and you'll find that the majority of the carriage of Indian goods today is in Chinese bottoms, in Chinese flagships. That has not been mentioned in the article. And that is not just the case for India, it's for most of the countries over the world. Because China today has the largest merchant shipping fleet if you combine the fleets that are flagged, not just in mainland China, but also in Hong Kong
and Macau, and
and a large number of Chinese-owned ships which are flagged all over the world. So they have bought ships with flags from Panama to Liberia to Greece to various other flags. But they're owned by the Chinese owners. And therefore, the major reason really has been the profitability of carrying it in foreign bottoms.
And that complicates things when you're looking at a low-intensity conflict or indeed a shooting war. But that point that you made, Admiral Chawla, that we need to take an integrated approach on comprehensive maritime power, that's very well made. And we'll keep coming back to you for insights on this very alarming series of developments where the war is literally, come to our doorstep. But I want to thank you very much, Admiral Chawla, for your thoughts and insights into this very peculiar maritime situation out in the Arabian Sea. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sandeep. Very kind of you to have me over.
News9 Plus. Download now.